Escaping Havelock Maitia was as beautiful as the Havelock Island of India, her face was as calm as the cool sea breeze and her eyes were shiny like the scorching sun, her skin was like the tan sand of Havelock and her hair swayed swiftly like the lofty palm trees which she used to tie up with the joined petiole of the leaves. She was very young, about 16 years old. Maitai and her clan used to inhabit the southwest region of the archipelagos, which was away from tourists as they thought that they were very threatening to their livelihood. One day Maitai was making trinkets with her grandmother and asked her, "Can't we escape from these islands and live a life of our own? How dare you say about escaping from here? God will curse you, and will send you on an exile," exclaimed her grandmother. "Even the exile will be Havelock Island. You don't understand the fact that I am bored making trinkets of seashells and eating crab soup. There is more that I can do with my life, and I am not going to waste my life like yours," stated Maitai in such a tone that it was difficult for her grandmother to coax her. "Fine, then wait till I tell the clan that you are going to escape," said her grandmother in a tone to blackmail her. "I am not scared, you shout to the world, but I will escape," claimed Maitai. "Maitai is escaping, Swaraj Deep," shouted Maitia's grandmother, banging the earthen pots, and everyone came out of their shacks and lowered at Maitai. "What a disgrace you are, Maitai. It's great that your parents aren't alive to see this treachery of yours," shouted a lean woman from outside her shack. "You are a disgrace to our tribe. You shall be thrown into the water, or it's best to burn you," declared a burly man. Yes, it is the best thing to do," shouted the crowd. "Amma, should we burn her or throw her into the water?" asked the burly man to Maitia's grandmother. "If we throw her in the water, then the crabs won't come on our side as they will get scared, and also the water will get impure as the sharks will eat her, and there would be blood everywhere, so it's best to burn her," stated Maitia's grandmother, and stared Maitai, and she whispered to Maitai, "Everyone jumps on my wish, even an ape. These are the consequences if you think to escape." Maitai smirked and replied, "Your mouth is going to gape when I will escape." The indistinct chattering among the people kept on increasing, and Maitai knew that it was best to run as everyone was busy gossiping about the diabolic deeds of her, and she moved to the shacks so nobody could spot her and started to run as fast as she could, and the burly man shouted. She escaped and everyone started to run as fast as they could, but most of them were gluttons, so they stopped a lot to catch their breath, and by that time Maitai had entered the zone where there were tourists and saw people from different ethnicity roaming everywhere, and saw that they were using a tool which they were pointing at themselves and making funny faces, and looking at the funny faces she laughed, and everyone started to stare her, and after an abrupt pause they started to click her pictures, and she got frightened and said, "Leave me alone," but nobody seemed to understand her as the language she spoke was different. But a man who was in his middle age walked from the crowd and said, "She says leave her alone, she is seeing a camera for the first time, don't frighten her," and he looked at Maitai and said in a rather friendly voice, "Myself Prashendra, I am from Mumbai, from the bustling city of India. What's your name?" "Maitai, that's a charming name. Are you lost somewhere?" "Maitai, I can never be lost as my passion for living my life to the fullest will lead the road to my success." "That's beautiful, Maitai. So where does your road lead to?" "It isn't clear, but it is for sure that I will have to leave Havelock Islands. You can come with me to Mumbai. It is truly an exceptional place. Give me one good reason to trust you and come with you," inquired Maitai. "I stop these people from staring at you and talk to you," replied Prashendra. "Good point. Just a quick question, how do you know my language?" "None of these people knew it," asked Maitai. "Hey man, what are you guys chatting about?" shouted a tall, thin man from the behind you. "Wait, I am just comforting her," said Prashendra. "Okay," replied the thin man. "Yes, I am a polyglot," continued Prashendra. "What does that mean?" asked Maitai. "It means I can speak many languages," said Prashendra. "Impressive," Maitai said. "Many people find it so. Now do tell me, would you come with me?" asked Prashendra. "You don't look that diabolic, you are rather a friendly one, but I do hope it isn't a ploy," said Maitai. "Trust me," said Prashendra. "I hope it is not a blunder," said Maitai. Prashendra reached the cruise and the guard asked for his and matey's pass. He showed his pass and said, "This girl has lost her pass, she is with me so she won't be able to go." Then stated the guard, "What about some negotiable price at which we can have a mutual agreement?" asked Prashendra. 70,000 only," said the guard. "I always have my checkbook ready," said Prashendra. After Prashendra had filled his check he turned to Maitai and said, "A bribe brings us a jibe." "It sure does," said Maitai. "Now let's go before somebody else catches us," said Prashendra. While they seated, the people stared at Maitai because her dress was peculiar. Then to cover up, Prashendra said, she tried to copy the tribal dress for a photo shoot, and after that people stopped staring at Maitai, but at that time Maitai was fast asleep. After a long tiresome journey, They reached Mumbai and Maitai rushed to exit and Prashendra also tried to catch up. Maitai danced on the streets of Mumbai while everyone again started to stare at her. She didn't care and roamed on the streets like a free bird in the sky, and Prashendra said, "I have no problem that you dance on the streets, but we need to get you slippers and some good clothes, okay?" said Maitai, stopping her graceful and chirpy dance. Then she continued walking and Prashendra said, pointing at a large house, "Welcome to my humble abode." "Wow," Maitai said in amazement. "Now we are going to learn Hindi and English because nobody understands your language," said Prashendra today. "Wait, let me enjoy these luxuries which I am seeing for the first time," said the amused Maitai. "The luxuries are waste in front of education," said Prashendra in a very convincing manner. "Fine," cried Maitai, "so let's begin," said Prashendra filled with excitement. And like this 2 years passed by and Prashendra and Maitai's lives rapidly like the burning of a paper. And since Maitai was so beautiful, she decided to give the audition for Miss Universe. On the persuading of Prashendra, she cleared the stages and was in the final round, and the panelists knew her history. One of them asked her, "Why did you leave your hometown in Havelock and came here to Mumbai, while all your relatives persuaded you to stop in the Isles of Havelock? Why did you sacrifice your family?" Maitai smirked and said, "Nothing great was ever accomplished without making sacrifices." Tanvi Jeph, India.